Hi, this is Ron Sedgy, inviting you to join me for The Tonight Show of Radio every Saturday night, 9 to 11 Pacific Standard Time on CRN Digital Talk Radio. Now in our 24th year and well over 19,000 guests, The Ron Sedgy Show live originates from our Universal Radio studios. Celebrities from TV, music, movies, literature, politics, and show business, at one time or another, they all come to The Ron Sedgy Show. So why don't you?
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Thank you, Mike Horn, and welcome to the Royal Oakes Show, the fastest moving hour in radio. And for those of you new to the show, every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific, we tackle the big stories in the world of law and politics and delve into the bizarre side of the news as well. Welcoming back to the show our co-host Ken Jeffries.
Hello there.
And our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes.
Hey there.
So last week, guys, I muddled through without you. I blabbed for an hour about Obamacare, and a tremendous response. We raised so much money. People sending contributions in on the condition that I never do that again. I'm going to buy a vacation home. It's going to be great. So we're back to normal now, but it's not exactly a normal show because we have a special guest coming up in the second segment of the program in a few minutes. Christopher Scalia, son of Justice Antonin Scalia, is coming out with a book, a bunch of Justice Scalia's speeches. Scalia Speaks, and it's going to be fascinating to talk to Chris Scalia in just a few minutes. But meantime, my gosh, guys, I mean, talk about no shortage of things to talk about in the world. I mean, this horrendous shooting in Las Vegas with all the gun issues. We've got Harvey Weinstein with major sexual harassment issues. Sanctuary state. California is officially a sanctuary state. It's no shortage, as I say. In terms of Las Vegas, what do you guys think? You think that this is going to be finally the trigger that's going to flip things over to cause the NRA to lose its stranglehold on the Congress, and actually we're going to get some changes?
Absolutely not. There's not a chance in the world that this is that radical gun rights.
But this bump thing, what do they call it? The bump
stocks.
Bump stocks. I mean, everybody, even the NRA, seems to be sort of grudgingly okay. We got to reform. Right?
Every time, there's some basically an excuse where we scapegoat one tiny technical aspect of one type of gun, and we say, well, a bump stock allows a semi-automatic to fire like an automatic, so that we'll get rid of those. You can fire any gun like it has a bump stock if you've got a strong shoulder and a strong trigger finger. You can basically turn a semi-automatic using its own recoil into an automatic. Guns are dangerous. They kill people, period. You got to get them out of people's hands, and the NRA is never going to let it happen.
Yeah, but this is the biggest mass shooting in American history.
It's not. It is if you only want to talk about white people getting shot. But continue.
Well, I only want to talk about the numbers, and it's billed as the biggest. I mean, Ken Jeffries, you're with KABC Radio right now.
I shot him. I used to shoot those. I mean, not with bumps, not that stuff the guy did in Vegas, but I was in the military, and I did get to shoot the lovely M16s, lovely quote unquote.
Oh, okay.
And they struck me as Mattel toy. I actually qualified as a sharpshooter.
Wow.
And I hate guns.
You're probably better than Lee Harvey Oswald. They say he wasn't especially good.
Well, but he was good, unfortunately, on November 22nd, 1963.
Absolutely. Well, as I say, you're with KBC now, but you've been with a lot of stations that reported a lot of mass shootings. Do you have any gut sense that this finally will flip over some serious reform?
No, it won't. And of course they'll say now's not the time to talk about it. We got to, it'll never be the time to talk about it.
Well, I hate to give you, bad news, guys, but you're both wrong. My opinion is we're going to see serious gun control reform.
So excited.
You are wrong. You are wrong, Bullet Breath.
For years, Donald Trump has actually been kind of positive toward gun control.
Yep.
And even though he had the bromance with the NRA, we'll see. Hey, stay with us, and we're going to hear from Chris Scalia.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oakes Show.
If you're eligible for Medicare, you need to know there is money available to you that can lower your Medicare prescription costs. How much can you save? Find out now by making a free call to Health Markets. They'll search from a variety of nationally recognized plans to find you the right coverage at a price that fits your budget. And they'll do all this valuable research for you at no charge to you. And remember, you may be able to save money on your prescriptions. We'll tell you if you qualify. Why pay a penny more than you have to for an insurance policy? Let us find you the right plan at the right price and see if you qualify to lower your prescription costs. Put our free service to work for you at no charge. Call Health Markets right now.
800-990-0351. 800-990-0351. 800-990-0351. That's 800-990-0351.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is the DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all 50 states and D.C. Service and product availability varies by state. Agents may be compensated based on your enrollment.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show. Very popular singer.
Resurgence in recent
my
years.
Gosh,
Rick
yeah.
Astley
There's
has-
something called Rick rolling. There's a phenomenon.
Yes, absolutely.
Rick Astley.
You just Rick rolled us.
Yeah, exactly right.
He's never going to give you up, never going to let you down.
Oh my gosh,
what a guy.
voice. I mean, the voice of the 80s, and he's making a comeback now, as I understand it.
New album.
Absolutely.
Great.
Rick
Now the song
Astley.
will be stuck in my head for the next week, for the weekend.
Well, as promised, we are going to be joined by Christopher Scalia, son of Justice Antonin Scalia, and Chris has a new book out. It is Scalia Speaks, and it's a collection of his dad's speeches. So, Chris Scalia, welcome to the Royal Oak Show. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. It's great to be on. It's always nice to follow up a Rick roll, too. I feel
Exactly. Well, my gosh, what a labor of love this must have been to put together this book with your dad's speeches. And before we get to the contents of the book, I just have to say an intriguing aspect of Justice Scalia's life was the close personal friendship he had with Justice Ginsburg that everybody knew about. It was written about. It certainly was something that unusual because they had diametrically opposite judicial views, and your dad he could really be very strong. He could bring it in terms of dissents and criticisms of even colleagues. But how do you explain, Chris, the fact that he had this fabulous friendship with somebody who was just total polar opposite in terms of judicial and political viewpoints?
Well, I think they recognized that there was more to life than judicial and political outlooks, and so they focused on those things. They had opera in common. They had a love for food and wine in common, and they liked each other's company. So they really did have a great friendship. And she wrote the foreword for this book, and it describes their friendship a little bit. They also had a great working relationship. They would help each other out with their opinions. Even though obviously they were on very different sides of the issues, and with these opinions, they would help each other make their arguments stronger. So they had a great social relationship and a great working relationship. Justice Ginsburg wrote the foreword for this collection, as I said, and then my father also delivered a roast to Justice Ginsburg in the early 90s when, before she was on the Supreme Court. They had been judges together in the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. And in this roast, it's very funny. He makes fun of her a little bit. And then towards the end, he basically tells her how much he misses working with her and what a great colleague and friend she was. It's very moving. And it was... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Chris, we know about the Justice, his famous philosophy about textualism, originalism. What can you tell us about the man, the family man, his faith, his education, sports? Obviously, that comes up in the book to a degree, but what would you want to share with us about that?
Well, he was just... people know he was a funny guy. He was funny. He was charming. All of that's true, and that comes through in these speeches. But he was... I don't know, he always made... I always loved him as a father. When I was a child, I always loved him, because he was my father. But now that I am a father myself, trying to raise a family, I'm just more and more impressed by what he and my mother accomplished. Obviously, he was the Supreme Court justice, which was a big deal. But they raised 9 children together. They were married for over 50 years. I just think obviously his accomplishments on the court are impressive. and admirable, but also what he did as a father and as a husband. Pretty impressive things.
We're talking with Chris Scalia, son of Justice Antonin Scalia, coming out with a book, Scalia Speaks. And one more question, and then I want to let the guys fire some stuff at you as well. In terms of textualism, your dad's biggest legacy, do you think the fight on that is going to go on even without him now as a capable, high-profile advocate for it? Because there's a very strong sense of, hey, the founders didn't know about the internet, and they don't know from transgender, so let's not be obsessive about what they might have thought about something. Do you think without the strength of your father's his advocacy for that, things are going to change on that front?
I don't think so. I think that my father and other figures laid a strong enough groundwork in the 80s and 90s for other generations of textualists and originalists to have a good enough foundation to continue the argument and advancing the case for originalism and textualism. Somebody like Justice Gorsuch, for example, is in many ways an originalist and a textualist. And that doesn't mean that he's always going to vote the way my father would have voted, but he defends originalism pretty clearly and effectively. At least he did in his previous federal court decisions. And then, Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito, again, there's not complete uniformity among originalists. They sometimes disagreed between each other, but those justices do a good job of making the case for originalism.
It is going to be intriguing to see, you mentioned Justice Gorsuch, if he really turns out to be the conservative that so many people hope he will be. Some people disappoint, Justice Souter and Kennedy and so on, but it'll be fascinating to see how he rolls out.
I have two questions, and I just want to get them out now. Number one, and we'll get to them as it goes on. The first thing, or maybe question number two, actually, would be, what would your father think of President Trump today, if he could foresee President Trump being elected? And number two, the shooting in Las Vegas and the issue of gun rights, and would it change his mind regarding gun rights with all of these mass shootings going on? You can take whatever question you want first. If you want, maybe talk about the gun rights issue first. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm just going to say out front, I'm going to dodge the Trump question. That's not one I don't want to. That's just such a hard one for me to answer because he died before Trump was the nominee.
Right.
And, I don't really have a good sense there. But as far as gun rights go, there. In the Heller decision, which was the big gun rights case that he wrote in, I think, 2008, the issue there was a D.C. law that prohibited possession of a handgun in a home. So nobody in the district could essentially own firearms. And that case, as I understand it, and again, I'm not a legal scholar, so take this with a grain of salt. My understanding is that there's a pretty limited direction there, pretty limited case, but it confirmed that the right to bear arms is an individual right. But the decision also made clear that right, like all rights, was open to restrictions. So, in the case of Las Vegas, I don't think that would have changed his mind about the Heller decision or anything like that. And as far as what restrictions he would have found reasonable, I really can't address that. But it's hard for me to imagine that, it's not like gun violence was a new thing or that my father wasn't aware of that possibility. There are a couple of speeches in Scalia Speaks where he addresses the gun issue and Heller in particular. And there's a speech about turkey hunting, actually. It's, you don't really imagine a Supreme Court justice addressing a gathering of turkey hunters, but in one speech here he does. And he tells a story about how when he was growing up in New York.
Hey, Chris, we're going to hear that story after we take a quick break. If I can have you pause on that one. This is the Royal Oak Show. We're talking with Chris Scalia, author of Scalia Speaks. Stay with us on the Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Hey, Lorraine, do you realize that your mother, my mother-in-law, Chef Maria, has been serving Las Vegas since 1949?
Yes, I do, Dennis. That's when she first met Howard Hughes, who fell in love with her cooking.
And in 1955, she opened her first restaurant on Fremont Street.
Yes, dear. And another great customer was Liberace.
Wow. Then in 1962, while Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack were causing global excitement on the Las Vegas Strip, your family opened their second restaurant.
And in 1972, Elvis Presley began electrifying Las Vegas audiences and eating in our restaurant.
You know, Lorraine, this is quite a town. There's only one Las Vegas.
And there's only one Bootlegger Italian Bistro.
Folks, when you're in Las Vegas, come visit us. We'll make you feel like you're part of our family.
The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, conveniently located at 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard, South Strip. Visit our website at www.bootleggerlasvegas.com.
If you're eligible for Medicare, you need to know there is money available to you that can lower your Medicare prescription costs. How much can you save? Find out now by making a free call to Health Markets. They'll search from a variety of nationally recognized plans to find you the right coverage at a price that fits your budget. And they'll do all this valuable research for you at no charge to you. And remember, you may be able to save money on your prescriptions. We'll tell you if you qualify. Why pay a penny more than you have to for an insurance policy? Let us find you the right plan at the right price and see if you qualify to lower your prescription costs. Put our free service to work for you at no charge. Call Health Markets right now.
800-990-0351. 800-990-0351. 800-990-0351. That's 800-990-0351.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is the DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all 50 states and D.C. Service and product availability varies by state. Agents may be compensated based on your enrollment.
Hi, friends. This is Larry Minetti. Go to LarryMinetti.com to get my book, Aloha Magnum. You'll read all about the wonderful guest stars like Carol Burnett, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, and many, many more. There is an episode guide and my favorite recipes that I really cook at home. I will include a free signed photo with every book. Get Aloha Magnum at LarryMinetti.com. Order now. Aloha.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-785-9618. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show. This is too easy for you guys.
Well, too easy for me.
Yeah.
I'm a millennial.
I think it's too easy for Ken as well.
Yeah, what is this one?
Oh, come on, Ken.
See, Ken's been working too hard as Ace Newsman at KABC.
I just did some stories about the recent Jewish
shake,
holidays.
Just shake it off, Ken. Just shake it off so you can concentrate.
Shake off that L. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Okay, what is it? Who is
Shake
it?
It off. It's Shake It.
Oh, it's Shake It. Oh, it's
Taylor
Swift.
Taylor Swift, exactly. Got it right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are pleased to be joined today by Chris Scalia, son of Justice Antonin Scalia. Chris has come out with a book, Scalia Speaks, a collection of Justice Scalia's speeches. And Chris, you were in the middle of a story. Please finish up.
Oh, my father was on the JV rifle team in high school, so he used to take the subway from Queens to Manhattan with a rifle.
Wow.
And he'd have it in a bag. And obviously that
a different day.
Didn't turn any heads. Yeah, it didn't turn any heads then. As he pointed out, different times. Things aren't like that anymore. But an important thing to remember about originalism is that but that's the constitutional approach he held, which was basically the meaning of the Constitution remains the same. The original public meaning at the time of the ratification remains. So if there was a right to bear arms then, there remains one now. And if we as Americans decide that right should no longer be a right, it's not the Supreme Court's place to say that's no longer a right. That's the voting booth. That's the role of the voting booth and legislatures. That's their job to determine that.
Yeah, and that was the essence of his philosophy. You're right, and it was intriguing to me that it took centuries for the Supreme Court to finally address that fundamental question of whether the Second Amendment, with its reference to well-regulated militia, does it really mean individual human beings have a right to have a gun? And Justice Scalia's opinion, accepted by the court, was, yeah, it does.
Well, it's not too unreasonable to think that they didn't address that concept, because instead it was simply the opposite. People believed throughout the hundreds of years prior that it simply did not confer an individual right, and it was only through Heller that was sort of in the public mind. It came to mean the other way. People realized, oh, wow, the public actually has come to believe now that the Second Amendment does confer an individual right.
I don't know what the ye old Gallup poll said in the 1800s
right,
about that,
absolutely.
but so I don't know if you're right or not. But
who knows? It's a political issue.
It's the precedent we've got now.
Chris, can I ask you? Scalia was a divisive figure, of course. Your father was an incendiary in his dissents and sometimes even his concurrences. Can I ask you if you thought, or if he ever told you that he thought that his fire and brimstone approach got results in the short term, or whether it was all about converting hearts and minds in the long term?
He was playing the long game. I mean, he would say that, he often said that he was writing opinions for law students, and especially with the dissents. By the time you knew you were writing a dissent, you're not going to convince your colleagues. The point was to convince other people, and he was a former law professor. He always kind of had his focus on law students. And so, yeah, they were attention grabbing, but it's something you see, especially in these speeches, is that you may not notice from some of the opinions, because often it was just kind of scathing parts that got quoted. His logic was always very strong. So law students, even those who disagreed with him, and I've heard from a number of them say this, they would go to his opinion first, whether he was in the majority or the dissent. He was such a clear and strong writer that his opinions are the ones people wanted to read.
I'll tell you, Chris, that makes complete sense. It makes complete sense that he thought that law students and universities and law schools specifically were the future of the law, because, I mean, he was one of the original faculty sponsors of the Federalist Society when it was just getting its legs underneath it back at University of Chicago. Did he ever talk to you?
It's glory years
absolutely.
Now.
It's a massive force in not only just law schools but American politics. Did he ever talk to you about how important it was to basically start at the grassroots level for law, which is law schools?
Well, I mean, not beyond what I've just said. I mean, I never had any interest in law school myself, and I didn't pursue a legal degree.
Good on you.
He and I never had that sort of conversation.
Chris, speeches.
But I mean, you can see in the speeches themselves. There are nearly 50 speeches here. Not all of them are legal, but many of them are. He traveled around the country and around the world to get across the importance of originalism and textualism. So he obviously thought it was important to evangelize to law students, not only law students, but especially law students and many other organizations.
You know, the fact that we can read his speeches is so great, Chris, because justices seem like they're sort of in a cocoon. It's a rhetorical straitjacket because they're so reluctant to talk about something because they might have to rule on it. And yet, in Scalia Speaks, as you say, 50 speeches from decades. Chris Scalia, thank you so much for sharing part of your day with us, and I hope everybody goes out and buys Scalia Speaks, and really appreciate you sharing your time with us.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend.
Okay, we'll be back with the Royal Oak Show in a few minutes and talk about gun control.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Credit cards are sure fun to use, perhaps a little addicting, and they kind of make you feel rich. Well, if you're like most Americans, you've got over 5 maxed out credit cards in your pocket right now, and you can barely make the minimum payments, right? I'd like to personally recommend a company called DebtHelper.com. DebtHelper.com is a licensed and insured nonprofit debt management agency. They can help cut your interest rates by as much as 50% and lower your monthly payments, saving you thousands of dollars in finance charges on your credit card bills. DebtHelper.com does not lend money. Debt Helper's program could have you paying off your credit card debt in full in a 3 to 5 year period. Call DebtHelper.com right now for your free confidential consultation consultation today. 866-706-3328. 866-706-3328. 866-706-3328. Credit Card Management Services, Inc. DBA, DebtHelper.com. 1325 North Congress Avenue, number 201, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401. Down payment of debt may be creditors to increase finance and other charges or undertake collection activity, including litigation.
Experience the romantic getaway you deserve at Maui's premier bed and breakfast, the Plantation Inn. With plantation-style architecture and decor combined with modern amenities such as dual rain showers and whirlpool hot tubs, guests relax in a tranquil oasis in the heart of Maui's historic Lahaina town. The inn is situated conveniently less than 2 blocks from Lahaina Harbor, as well as the famous French Street, known for its range of shops, restaurants, gallery walks, and museums. The Plantation Inn is home to Gerard's Restaurant, voted Open Table's top most romantic restaurants in North America. Chef Gerard's contemporary island French cuisine consistently earns some of the highest ratings in Hawaii. Come discover why Hawaii Magazine readers named the Plantation Inn #1 best bed and breakfast in Hawaii. Visit theplantationinn.com or call us at 667-9225.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-997-0151. 800-997-0151. 800-997-0151. That's 800-997-0151.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
CRN listeners, when you come to Southern California, stop by a great restaurant, the Dresden Restaurant at 1760 North Vermont Avenue in Hollywood. Enjoy great entertainment, like the music of the legendary Marty and Elaine at the world-famous Dresden Restaurant. The Dresden was the location for the making of the movie Swingers. Now you can swing with stars Marty and Elaine. Plus, enjoy great food, too, like French onion soup, artichoke hearts, and many other great appetizers. Seafood, there's salmon, shrimp scampi, New Zealand orange roughy, halibut, Lake Superior whitefish, and specialties like veal, marsala, piccata, and parmigiana. Plus, we've got a great roast rack of lamb, chicken piccata, and cordon bleu, and pasta dishes, too. Steaks, filet, New York, Chateaubriand for 2. Much more, too, including pork chops, prime rib of beef, and an incredibly extra large cut of prime rib. It's the Dresden Restaurant, open for lunch Monday through Saturday and dinner Monday through Sunday. Check us out at 1760 North Vermont Avenue or call 323-665-4294.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries, our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. You guys know this song, right?
China Grow.
Doobie
Brothers.
Exactly,
I saw him do it.
the Doobie
I saw him do it twice this year in concert.
See,
what Ken said.
Ken has an unfair advantage. He used to be a rock and roll disc jockey.
Hey,
so,
but of course I can't remember Taylor Swift.
There's short-term memory and there's long-term memory.
Yeah.
What a week, guys. I mean, this horrendous thing in Las Vegas. I mean, and the frustration continues to the point where people are arguing about whether we really should be so frustrated about what the killer's motive was. I mean, people are coming out saying, does it really matter? It's like Hillary Clinton and Benghazi. At this point, does it really matter? And yet, it's not going to go away. People are either going to speculate, they're talking about, well, he visited Jordan and maybe he was radicalized, but apparently there isn't any real evidence for that. It's just that he was just a hateful guy who was stewing and brewing and planning. And, was there another guy in the room, in the hotel room? There was a cell phone charger that was incompatible with the shooter's charger. Apparently, I mean, nothing has emerged in terms of the motive.
You know what? And it's not, because we'll probably have another one fairly soon. And I hate to say it, but probably.
And that's the problem.
We'll go through this again and again and again and again.
Every instance of it provides the inspiration for the next person who is so fundamentally evil and wrong, and that that they believe that society will reward them in some way for this evil act, whether that is infamy.
You know, in terms of the NRA, it's really weird because on the one hand, for years and years, Trump in his writings and so on, he wasn't such a big gun guy. He was actually in favor of expanding gun control rules, and then he just grabbed onto the NRA and rode that horse in the campaign. And so I think based on that, people are saying he probably won't cave in. He probably won't go along with reasonable gun restrictions, expansion of them. But I don't know. I think Trump's a winner ultimately, and I think he knows that if people really are at long last fed up with not having restrictions on how to bump it up to an automatic weapon or a large magazine, automatic Tommy gun restrictions, expanded, more background checks, more waiting periods. If he senses that there's a groundswell for that, I got a feeling he may just say to the NRA, "Look, boys, I gotta do some deals here. Don't worry, privately I'm still in your camp," but he may go along with some reform.
I mean, people say that the tobacco lobby was more powerful by orders of magnitude
and now look at them.
Than the NRA.
They're pariahs.
The gun lobby. Yeah, absolutely. That they were this massive force in Washington, and everyone said there's no way you can topple them. There's no way you can undermine them. They have everybody in their pocket. They control everything. And it was a groundswell of activism and a change in public opinion that actually forced forced politicians to make changes. And I'll tell you what, if in the coming perhaps liberal surge, anti-Trump 2017 surge, who knows, if something radical does change and people start asking the actual question, if they go to the representatives and they say, what is your plan to stop mass shootings? Not, is this the price of freedom? Do I just have to put up with it? Are my relatives at the next concert that I go to going to get shot and die? Is that okay, politician? Tell me if it's okay. No, if they say, what is your plan to make this
So
stop?
Here's the problem. I think the impediment to reasonable restrictions on guns and weaponry and ordnance and ammunition and so on is the fear by a lot of people that the secret agenda by the liberals and the progressives is confiscation, get rid of the Second Amendment. And this week, Bret Stephens, the conservative columnist from the Wall Street Journal who jumped over to the New York Times, came out with a column saying, repeal it. Repeal the Second Amendment. And I think that's the nightmare. A lot of people around the country who really want guns for self-protection are saying, I'm going to be in a database, and they're going to come and take my guns away. And because of that fear, they resist reasonable restrictions because they think it's going to be the camel's nose under the tent.
Although, Obama was going to get your guns, and of course that didn't happen. Yeah. So,
after Newtown, after Sandy Hook, there was a state-level gun control, a rifle registration law that was passed in New York State. And New York, one of the more liberal states around, their liberal governor signed this bill into law, and they said, register your weapons. And it was a felony not to register your weapons. And I'll tell you what, sub 5% of the estimated gun owners in that state registered their weapons. That means that 95% of gun owners in New York, in a liberal state, although there is upstate New York, in a liberal state, were willing to become felons to dodge registering their guns. There is massive opposition to gun control in this at a base level. There are many Americans who love their guns.
I always thought that if someone who was in favor, who was anti-gun, say, knew someone who was shot, and it happened in my family, I'll get into that real quick in just a second, that they would become anti-gun. And it did happen with a country musician who was on stage when the bullets were flying with the Jason Aldean concert. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he said, I used to be pro-gun, now I'm anti-gun. And
I saw that.
I don't remember his name at all. In my case, real quick, my niece was shot in 1999 in the Jewish Community Center shootings in Mission Hills at that time here in the San Fernando Valley. And she is physically okay, but she has, I think she has flashbacks, and every time
PTSD.
Mass shooting, and here we go. And so I always say that if somebody you're close to was shot, you may think differently about guns, and I could be wrong, but
so here's an issue though that's resonating with a lot of people, and I've heard it discussed on the cable shows this week. And it's this. The elites the Hollywood types rail against guns, and these are people who either have guns themselves or have guards, armed guards, or live in fancy Beverly Hills mansions where they have plenty of security. They really don't have to worry day in and day out about protection. And you contrast that with people who live in rough neighborhoods across America, who hear gunshots a couple of times a night, who wonder what they're going to do if some meth-crazed maniac shows up at the door, and they'd like to have a gun under the pillow. And I think that attitude, that resistance against the elites, is one of the reasons that there is a reluctance to have gun control changes.
It's really hard to blame those people. It's really hard to cast a moral judgment on that person and say that you're a bad person because you're clinging to your gun. That gets a bad reaction out of them, rightfully so. Truthfully, there are statistics out there that will tell you the gun pulls the trigger at you. Guns in your house cause you harm.
And then there are bad people who cling to their actresses who want to have big parts in their movies. We'll talk about Harvey Weinstein and sexual harassment when we return on The Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with The Royal Oak Show.
Hey, Lorraine, do you realize that your mother, my mother-in-law, Chef Maria, has been serving Las Vegas since 1949?
Yes, I do, Dennis. That's when she first met Howard Hughes, who fell in love with her cooking.
And in 1955, she opened her first restaurant on Fremont Street.
Yes, dear. And another great customer was Liberace.
Wow. Then in 1962, while Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack were causing global excitement on the Las Vegas Strip, your family opened their second restaurant.
And in 1972, Elvis Presley began electrifying Las Vegas audiences and eating in our restaurants.
You know, Lorraine, this is quite a town. There's only one Las Vegas.
And there's only one Bootlegger Italian Bistro.
Folks, when you're in Las Vegas, come visit us. We'll make you feel like you're part of our family.
The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, conveniently located at 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard, South Strip. Visit our website at www.bootleggerlasvegas.com.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. So this one might be a tough one, guys. Got any idea who's singing this tune? Turn it up a little, Jose.
I know who it is.
Okay.
I know who it is. It's CCR.
Yeah.
It's right. What is it called? Right around. I can't remember the song. Right around, just around the bend.
Close.
Right around
close.
the bend.
Up around the bend.
Up around the bend.
I probably could have gotten CCR, but never the name.
Yeah. No. It's a classic. So we are chatting about Harvey Weinstein. So I guess he was involved in Miramax, big success making movies, and then he and his brother formed the Weinstein Company.
Bob Weinstein, his brother.
And I was looking over the records, something like 6 Best Picture Oscars. They've got Pulp Fiction, of course, Shakespeare in Love, Good Will Hunting, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. I mean, just an enormous success. And so now the New York Times comes out with this giant story, it's like a 3,000-word story, saying basically he's a serial harasser, that he's settled 8 lawsuits for millions of dollars for sexual harassment. 20 years ago, he invites actress Ashley Judd to a hotel for a business breakfast meeting, and next thing you know, he's in a bathrobe. He wants her to massage him and watch him take a shower. And so now I guess they've suspended him, and they've brought in a big law firm to investigate. And interesting sidelight everybody was focusing on, Gloria Allred has a daughter named Lisa Bloom, and not everybody knows that Lisa's Gloria's daughter, but they don't have the same last name, but they're knowing it now because Lisa, she's been high profile, been on Court TV and other outlets for a long time, but she's basically doing what Gloria has done. Now, they're representing victims, and so people are asking, why is Lisa representing Harvey? Right. He identified her as his tutor, his advisor to help him work through this and become a better person. And Ken, apparently today, she's bailing out?
Yeah, no, I got to get into my phone again, but here it is. As of 10:04 a.m. this morning on October 7th, she says, quote, I have resigned as an advisor to Harvey Weinstein. My understanding is that Mr. Weinstein and his board are moving toward an agreement. I think they did reach an agreement to suspend him, if I'm not mistaken.
Suspend him, yeah. Plus, as I said, get the investigation.
But she took a lot of heat, including allegedly from her mother, who later denied it.
Right.
I mean, it was really weird too, in a series of tweets and things like that, saying that she would never represent, Wine, and Lisa can do her own thing and all that. But then Gloria came out with another thing saying, I back my daughter, and et cetera, et cetera.
So talk about taking heat. What I was really offended by was Harvey's statement of yesterday, explaining the situation. And did you hear what he said?
No.
First, he said, I'm improving, I'm taking advice and so on. But then he starts playing the politics card. He says, I'm going to be taking a leave of absence and devoting my life to attacking the NRA. I am doing a movie against Donald Trump. I want Trump and the head of the NRA, Wayne de la Pierre, to both retire at the same time. Oh, and by the way, I have given $5 million to the Women's Directors Fund. And so basically, he's saying, because I'm a big-time progressive, you should, don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain who has nothing on.
Right, ignore the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly, who is naked and masturbating.
Yeah, it's really irresponsible for him to do that. I mean, why doesn't he just man up and say, okay, I got a problem. We entered into these settlements. I'm going to settle additional ones. If somebody makes false allegations, I'm not going to settle. I'm going to go to trial. How lucky do you feel, ma'am?
Right.
But, I've turned over a new leaf. But instead, for him to try to reach out and play the political card so people are going to sympathize with him because they like his politics is kind of cynical, I think.
Yeah, and all people are going to blame the left, the so-called left, because, Harvey Weinstein equals everything that's wrong with the left.
Yeah, that is the
I mean, that's what I think it was probably going to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And, so
every time a conservative does something horrific in the news,
blame all
the left points that and says,
well, let's get into the issue of this country is so polarized.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Can't we all just agree that Senator Murphy, who's an actual crazy person, and Harvey Weinstein are just bad people, regardless of their politics?
Oh, and Murphy, let's get that out on the table. The details, just amazing. So he's a congressman, I guess, right, from Pennsylvania.
Oh, he's the one who, right, okay.
And he's so solid. The last two times around, the Democrats didn't even put anybody up against him.
How could you?
So he's a proud member of the pro-life caucus, totally anti-abortion. And these texts, what a brain surgeon this guy is.
Yeah.
He texts the girlfriend he's having an affair with saying, you got to get an abortion, babe.
Unbelievable.
And so now it's all out there. And now he's resigning. Is he resigning not only from his committee positions, but actually
I think he's resigning from Congress.
He's out of Congress.
I think he's going to resign from Congress.
And the question is, what can Democrats even do? This is such a politically, in terms of strategy-wise, this is such a deep red location. There's just almost
where is
no
he?
chance.
Where is he? What state is he in again?
Well, he's in Pennsylvania. So
what part? I used to work in Pennsylvania.
I'm not sure. The Pittsburgh press was talking about what was going on, but I don't know.
Okay, we don't know what area.
During our next break, we'll Google exactly where his district is. But I mean,
Democratic strategists have basically been saying, well, we could force the Republicans to spend money here, but we still can't win. Even with this guy.
So presumably it's a deep red area. A deep red area.
So you've got hypocrisy all over the map, on the left and the right side. I mean, obviously Harvey Weinstein is hypocritical, behaving in a really ugly way, inexcusable way toward women, and yet pretending to be in favor of equal rights and progressive. And this guy, Tim Murphy from Congress. And by the way, they say he's just an absolute creep in terms of the way he treated his staff.
Yep.
Total turnover. Back to Weinstein, he had this code of silence. He forced people who signed up for his company to sign saying they would never criticize the company, they would never talk about what happened. Truly remarkable.
Those always hold up.
So when we come back, we are going to get into the fact that California has a special new status. We may change our name. Sanctuary State. That's in California's future, thanks to Governor Brown signing that bill. Stay with us on The Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with The Royal Oak Show.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644. Mortgage rates are at all-time lows. If you have not refinanced your current mortgage in the last few years, you could be losing thousands of dollars a year by paying too high of an APR. And the place to call is LendingTree to find out how low you can go. We can match you with lenders offering some of the lowest rates APRs available. Some APRs are lower than 3%. Imagine how much money you can save every month if your current mortgage is at 6% or higher. And all it takes is one free call to LendingTree to match you with a lender who may be able to lower your current home mortgage rate. Learn how to potentially save thousands by refinancing your current mortgage. Call LendingTree right now. NMLS 1136.
800-628-5067. 800-628-5067. 800-628-5067. That's 800-628-5067.
Come to Angelo's and Vinci's to see the memorabilia of movie stars and theatrical magic right in downtown Fullerton, California. See the art of the masters, an Italian town square complete with storefronts of old Italian butchers and cheesemongers, fruit and wine vendors, seamstresses showing their wares, fairy lights from cathedral ceilings, and our ancestors smiling down at you from the family love altar. The romance of Romeo and Juliet, and find the mystical Room of the Moon. And don't forget King Kong, Dracula, Frankenstein, and who knows what awaits you in the wine cellar. Enjoy the great food. We hand stuff our pastas, roll each and every tortellini, bake our own bread, make our own sauces fresh from our private stock of Sicilian family recipes. From pasta to seafood, chicken to award-winning pizzas, tiramisu flown in from Rome. If you can't find something on our menu to tempt you, you don't like Italian food. Try our Sunday brunch, just $18.95, and Angelo's and Vinci's has been named 2 years in a row Best Italian Restaurant in Orange County. Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurant at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Call 714-879-4022.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show. And I bet Connor's having a little struggle with this song, but Ken Jeffries, former disc jockey.
I'm going to say Born on a Sunday.
Oh, I know what it is.
Okay.
I think it's Lonely Boy.
Yes.
By Andrew, is it Andrew Gold?
Andrew Gold.
Ding, ding, ding,
yeah.
ding, ding. I played it. Oh, what a lonely boy. Well, I was a lonely boy, so it's
Connor's impressed.
my autobiography.
Absolutely.
Encyclopedic.
All right, so California is now officially a sanctuary state. You know, Chicago may be a sanctuary city, but we got them beat here. The entire state, I believe it's the first state in the union to do this. So the bill just signed into law by Governor Brown restricts communications between California cops and federal immigration agents about people in custody or awaiting trial, with the exception of those who have been convicted of some felonies within the last 15 years. So, you know, people are really starting to react to this. A lot of law enforcement officials who were hardly flaming liberals they oppose active immigration cooperation by the local cops with the feds because they worry that the entire immigrant community will see the police as enemies and not cooperate with law enforcement activities. We've been hearing that from the LAPD chief for a long time. But the idea of the state and local folks not cooperating with the feds to exchange information about people already in custody, it's to me, that's kind of hard to understand.
It is hard to understand. But, I mean, the original version of the law, and this, of course, is the defense of any law, the original draft of it wasn't that bad, and it got better and better. But there's still, the original draft was extreme in that it said basically no communication, basically no cooperation, basically no participation in task forces. But the final version that eventually was agreed upon between Brown and Kevin De Leon was that there was still going to be cooperation on joint task forces between California and federal cops. There was still going to be access to California databases by federal agents. And the list of crimes was modified, changed to allow a little more leeway for the federal government in terms of them wanting all access all the time. It is, though, a change. It is extreme in its own way of saying that, boldly sort of spitting in the face of the federal government, even though they backed and pulled back a little bit to say that we're just not going to cooperate.
Yeah. On that issue, apparently the feds are going to sue.
No, the head of ICE also, I think, has threatened more raids in California.
Okay,
if I have that correct. And that could be an issue. You may see some of those raids being carried out in
Jeff
the Los Angeles
Sessions said the
area.
law was unconscionable, and that guy seems to have no qualms about taking steps to really fight the opposition.
But here's a problem. Jeffrey Sessions sued Chicago a month or two ago on the same kind of argument, and he lost. It was just one federal judge, but the judge said no. And, the 10th Amendment to the Constitution suggests that the federal government may not force the states to enforce federal laws. So there's no guarantee that Trump's going to win if he does.
Well, it is the issue, too. If the government can't force states to enforce federal laws, what's the sense of having a United States? I mean, it's like... I'm not a constitutional. I mean, you're the expert on this. I'm not, and
you're absolutely right.
And
it is a scary idea, but at the same time, we do have a separation of powers, not just between the three branches of government, but we've got the federal-state divide, and the state is has the police power. They are the ones on the streets patrolling. You don't have the National Guard and the Army and the Navy walking down the street and
well, in certain
traffic
circumstances,
citations.
you do with national emergencies and stuff like that.
And
But other than that, you're right.
Yes.
Right.
And that division is an important part of federalism. It is an important division to say that the federal government can't step in, because if they could say, not only are we passing a law, but states, you have to enact it, Congress would essentially become the head of all state houses. They could just say, put into effect our laws, superseding your own, and then suddenly we've only got one government.
Well, more to come. We'll see if there's an apocalyptic confrontation in court, and we'll also see if O.J. Simpson's going to start selling his autographs. Maybe we'll expand on this a little next week. He's reportedly signing autographs so he can sell stuff, but is he going to hand the money over to Fred Goldman? And if he doesn't report it to the IRS, he's breaking tax laws. O.J. could be back in jail. They're actually taking bets in Vegas as to the chances.
Fantastic.
Hey, Ken Jeffries, Connor Oakes, we'll see you next week here on the Royal Oak Show.
Enjoying all your favorite CRN programming is easier than ever. It's right on your TV, through your local cable provider, and on the web at crntalk.com. But when you're on the move, stuck in a